Trnava LTSER platform is located in the western part of Slovakia, 57 kilometers from the capital city Bratislava. The territory is an agricultural industrial landscape with the cultural center of the city Trnava. Trnava city covers both a district and a regional center. It is an industrial center with a high level of foreign investment, with the presence of PCA Peugeot, Saks, Jones Manuel, etc. Trnava is cultural and educational center. There are many cultural monuments located here, especially sacred ones, which is why it got the nickname Little Rome. Within industrial production, the automotive, engineering, electronic, and chemical industries dominate. The dominant industrial center is Peugeot Citroën. The industry is concentrated in the city of Trnava. Among the rural settlements, the important industrial centers are Voděrady, Samsung, and Smolenice, Chemolek. The Jaslovské Bohunice nuclear power plant is located in the village of Jaslovské Bohunice. Agricultural production is mainly focused on cereal cultivation. Recently, the cultivation of energy crops, which are lucrative on the market, has increased. Livestock production is concentrated on pig breeding and beef cattle breeding, but during the period of transformation, it significantly decreased. In the land use is dominated agricultural land, of which up to 93% is arable land. Forests occupy 15.5%. They are concentrated in the northern part of the city area and are part of the protected landscape area of the Little Carpathians. Built-up areas currently occupy almost 8%, and their percentage is constantly increasing. The region was a well-known wine-growing area, which gradually lost in importance during the transformation period. Nowadays, these viticultural activities are reviving. There are several water reservoirs in the area, which were built mainly for agricultural purposes, but nowadays they serve more recreational functions. Land use is constantly changing. The biggest changes were recorded in the growth of built-up areas at the expense of agricultural land. Basic drivers which influence changes in the land use are collectivization, normalization period, development of urbanization and recreation, transformational changes. Collectivization period lasted from 50 years of 20th century to 60 years of 20th century. This period is characterized by the expression of power and aggression. Basic characteristics are confiscation of the property of private farmers and the setting up of cooperatives. Some of the private owners entered into the cooperatives voluntary, some involuntary, and the rest transformed and went to the neighboring towns to work in the industry and services. Next characteristic is land concentration and consolidation and the gradual formation of monofunctional agricultural landscapes. Inappropriate methods of soil cultivation in this period led to the development of negative environmental processes. The period of normalization lasted from 60 to 70 years of the 20th century. This period is characterized by the strengthening the power. Basic characteristics are new pressures on the green infrastructure, the liquidation of meanders, adjustment of water flow, the liquidation of vegetation along water streams, the establishment of new agricultural entities, joining cooperatives, increasing intensification of agricultural production, increasing of the chemization, the growth of mechanization, deterioration of the quality of the environment, the development of urbanization and recreation lasted from 70 to 80 years of the 20th century. This period is characterized by the process of socialization of the village. Basic characteristics are development of housing, the construction of the cooperative houses atypical for the rural environment, building infrastructure, sewer, gas, water supply, modernization of the countryside, improving the quality of life, regular income, change of lifestyle, improvement of services, introduction of new technologies. Period of transformational changes started after the year 1989. This period is characterized by the structural changes in the society. Basic characteristics are agricultural subjects, decomposition, changes of agricultural structure, decrease in beef cattle by 77%, of pigs by 60%. Change of crop structure, decline in the cultivation of cereals, the increase in the cultivation of energy crops, decrease in vineyards in half, anthropization of the landscape, building industrial parks, shopping centers, logistic centers on fertile soils. To change the image of the rural village, construction of the new districts, fun centers, downhill tracks, and golf courses. The main ecosystem services that are relevant for the study area were selected in cooperation between scientists and basic groups of stakeholders. A total of 10 basic ecosystem services were selected. Production services. Regulatory and support services. Cultural services. Key focus groups and stakeholders were involved. Key stakeholders group had circa 20 members. These members were authorities responsible for landscape management, research, education, and planning. Other stakeholders, 45 members, were representatives of municipalities, scientists, students, planners, NGOs, and public. Stakeholders' findings to the ecosystem services. Persistent sectoral decision-making is based mainly on partial and sectoral legislation. Problem of ownership, which is prioritized over environmental consideration. Pressure of financial groups to amend planning documents and push there. Missing methodology and legislation tools for ecosystem services assessment and implementation. Missing financial or economical values for most of ecosystem services. Low knowledge and interest about ecosystem services concept. Environmental legislation and elaboration of environmental documentation considered as an obstacle to the municipality's development. It can be included among the main environmental problems of the study area. Increasing the build-up area not only in the urban area, but also in the peri-urban area. Building new industrial area, industrial parks and logistics centers and commercial centers. Changing the landscape image and landscape character. Persistent pressures of investors on the occupation of natural resources, occupying the best soil, natural ecosystem, vineyard, and vegetation for construction. The growth of new residential areas inappropriate for rural areas. Increasing anthropization, decreasing ecological stability, landscape fragmentation and biodiversity threats. Growth of brownfields, depopulation of city center, population growth in peri-urban areas, lifestyle change in rural settlements. Increasing living space demands.